The weight of this moment for Arsenal is impossible to overstate. Mikel Arteta himself has already said it publicly. He described Tuesday's match against Atletico Madrid at the Emirates as one of the biggest games in the history of this stadium. Not one of the biggest this season, not one of the biggest in recent years, in the entire history of the ground. That tells you exactly what is at stake here. And this is not arriving in a quiet week where the squad can breathe and prepare in peace. 3 days after grinding out a Premier League win against Fulham, with the title race still very much alive, and Victor Gjokeres now sitting on 21 league goals, Arsenal now have to turn around and face Atletico Madrid at home in a knockout European tie that could define the shape of their entire season. Martin Odegaard is carrying a fitness concern. Manchester City are still standing and applying pressure at the top of the table. And yet the voice coming out of the Arsenal dressing room right now is not one of anxiety. It is one of clarity and readiness. Riccardo Calafiori spoke after the Fulham match, and his words carried real weight. He said the crowd was magnificent, the atmosphere was unbelievable, that the squad is fighting for everything and has to be ready. And then came the line that matters most. He said there is no tiredness at the moment. Now, Calafiori is not a player who performs for the cameras in press conferences. He is honest and direct. When a player at this stage of a long and demanding season tells you the squad has no fatigue, that is not a motivational statement for public consumption. That is a genuine reflection of where the group's mental state is sitting. The relationship between this squad and the Emirates crowd is functioning at a very high level right now, and that relationship becomes a competitive advantage when the big European nights arrive. Victor Gjokeres is the central attacking story of this Arsenal season, and the numbers he is producing right now are simply extraordinary. 21 Premier League goals, 3 goals across the last 2 matches in what has been described as his best back-to-back performances since arriving at the club. The breakdown of his goals tells its own story. 10 scored with his right foot, 2 with his left, 2 with his head. What those numbers reveal is a striker who is not a one-dimensional finisher. He scores with both feet, he scores in the air, and he scores from different areas of the box. The real significance, though, goes beyond his individual quality. A striker does not accumulate that variety of goals unless the team is consistently building the right situations and delivering the ball in the right moments. Gjokeres is the end product of a functioning attacking system, and right now that system is working at the highest level. Arteta addressed the media ahead of Tuesday, and his manner was composed and deliberate. His words were direct. He said Arsenal have one of the biggest games in the history of this stadium coming on Tuesday, in front of their own people, and they are going to try to make it happen. He also spoke about Odegaard's fitness and expressed genuine optimism, saying he thinks the captain will be ready and that the club needs him on that pitch. The Odegaard situation matters enormously because of how central he is to the way Arsenal build their play. The tempo of the team, the spacing, the link between midfield and attack, all of it runs through Odegaard when he is on the pitch. If he walks out under the lights on Tuesday night, the atmosphere and the performance level of this team reaches a different place entirely. The evidence of this entire season supports that. On the title race itself, 2 very different takes have emerged from recognisable voices in the game. Wayne Rooney has said clearly that he believes Arsenal will win it, that he can see them winning every remaining game and City slipping up. Joe Hart's position is the opposite. He is focused on Manchester City and believes they will do whatever needs to be done to get over the line. Paul Merson offered the most detailed analysis of the 3. He acknowledged that if City win their next 2, Arsenal face serious pressure heading into the West Ham fixture, and he flagged the physical and mental toll that a deep European run into extra time could add to Arsenal's schedule. But his conclusion was still that he would pick Arsenal as his title favourites right now, specifically because of the fixture list and the challenges City face in their remaining games. Merson does not lean toward Arsenal naturally. When he picks them as favourites, it carries genuine weight. He also had specific and positive things to say about Bukayo Saka, and they deserve attention. He acknowledged that Saka's goal numbers this season have not hit the heights of previous campaigns, largely because opposition sides consistently double up on him. But he described Saka as a big game player in the truest sense. Someone who turns up week in, week out and performs when the pressure is highest. The moment he highlighted was the first goal against Fulham, where Saka isolated his defender and finished on his weaker foot with full composure. That is the profile of player you need heading into a European knockout tie. Merson's final point was straightforward. Get your best players on the pitch every week until the end of the season, and Arsenal will not be far away from the title. There is also a genuine tactical conversation building around the midfield selection for Tuesday. Darren Bent raised it, and it is worth taking seriously. Zubimendi is the expected starter given his experience and what he has delivered across the season. But Miles Lewis-Skelly's performance against Fulham was not a competent outing from a young player finding his feet. It was a top-level display. Bent made the point that Arteta would have watched that and thought if things are not clicking on Tuesday night, there is no hesitation in making that change because the quality is clearly there. Having two credible and high-level options in that position at this point in the season is not a problem. It is a genuine strength. Away from the immediate week, there are broader developments shaping the landscape around this Arsenal squad that deserve attention. Arsenal are currently among the English clubs leading the standings for qualification to the 2029 Club World Cup, alongside Liverpool. Every strong league finish and every deep European run is building towards something that extends well beyond this season. The commercial and reputational implications of that kind of global competition presence are real, and they directly impact the club's ability to attract elite players and structure major transfers. It is another reason why the decisions made over the next few weeks carry weight that goes beyond a single trophy. Then there is the situation at Manchester City. Reports are circulating that Pep Guardiola is expected to step down at the end of this season, with Enzo Maresca reportedly all but agreed as his successor. It has been suggested that internal discussions have reached the point of planning how to honour Guardiola at the club, including naming a stand after him, and that a detailed package with Maresca has been put together. The club is expected to deny these reports, and a last-minute change of direction from Guardiola himself remains a genuine possibility given his history of surprising decisions. That is precisely why credible journalists have reportedly held back from publishing this themselves. They are not willing to risk their professional reputations on a claim Guardiola could personally contradict overnight. But when internal preparations at a football club have reportedly reached that level of detail, that is not speculation anymore. That is an organisation managing a transition. For Arsenal, a city entering any kind of period of change or uncertainty, regardless of how carefully handled, shifts the competitive balance of the Premier League in a way that works in Arteta's favour heading into next season. On the summer transfer picture, several things are becoming increasingly clear. Gabriel Jesus is expected to leave. Ray Parlour has said it plainly. Jesus is at a stage of his career where consistent playing time is not negotiable, and with Gjokeres firmly established as the undisputed first-choice striker, those minutes are simply not available at Arsenal. Parlour's broader point was equally valid. Regardless of what Jesus decides, the club should be adding striking depth in the summer anyway. Competing across multiple fronts with one proven centre-forward is not a sustainable position. Beyond Jesus, reports suggest broader conversations are happening around Gabriel Martinelli, Ben White, Ethan Nwaneri and Miles Lewis-Skelly, with potential sales connected to funding a permanent move for Piero Hincapié as a defensive addition. The idea of moving on Martinelli or Ben White would represent a significant and genuinely difficult set of decisions. Both have been central figures in what Arteta has constructed. Lewis-Skelly is an academy product, meaning any sale represents pure profit on the books. But selling a player of that evident quality and long-term ceiling at this precise moment in his development is a risk that carries consequences well beyond whatever immediate financial return it might produce. Two transfer names have emerged as genuine areas of interest. The first is Mika Götze, the 20-year-old Belgian winger at Ajax, who has registered 16 goals and 11 assists in 29 Eredivisie appearances this season. Fabrizio Romano has described a summer move as expected. Arsenal's technical director is reportedly monitoring him, and Götze himself has not closed any doors when asked about his future. For a 20-year-old winger producing those numbers, this is exactly the profile of player this club's recruitment approach should be targeting. Nothing is confirmed, but the foundations appear to be building. The second name is Morgan Rogers of Aston Villa. Arsenal are described as watching him closely, but the financial reality here is stark. Villa have him on a long-term contract with no release clause, have dismissed reported offers in the region of £80 million, and insiders have pointed to Florian Wirtz's transfer fee as the relevant benchmark given the similarity in age and profile. That places any potential deal well north of £100 million. At that price point, a move this summer is extremely complicated. and this one sits firmly at the monitoring stage rather than anything approaching genuine progression. Bringing it all together, Arsenal are in one of the most consequential stretches of football this club has experienced in years. The squad is in good shape physically and mentally. The manager is calm and focused. Gjokeres is in the form of his life. Saka is delivering when it matters. Odegaard is expected to be available. The home support is locked in. And Tuesday night against Atletico Madrid is where this season gets its defining moment. The title race remains alive. The European run is at a critical stage. The summer decisions are beginning to take shape in the background. Everything is happening at once, and the margin for error from this point forward is effectively zero. But the signals from inside this club right now point toward a group that understands exactly what this moment requires.